Here's the Wurlitzer 2900 jukebox, and I think I may finally have the problem solved on this jukebox. This jukebox has stumped me for a long time with weird intermittent trouble, but I think might have it all figured out right now. And I think the thing that was the key is the centering pin in the selector mechanism. For one thing, there was another problem initially where a previous repair person got the cables mixed up underneath the selector ring. The thing is that there are three 11-pin male plugs, I think they're 11-pin, and they're all the same. It's real easy to misplace these plugs if the numbers come off, so I figured out the correct numbers and then labeled them. The real crucial thing though was the centering pin. You can see the centering pin is stuck up in the center of the selector mechanism, and you can see here that it comes out. It's kept in a little clip over on the side of the here of the machine. There's the little clip that it's stored in, and that is absolutely essential to put that in there when you reassemble the selector system. I think what had happened was whoever worked on this before also did not use the centering ring when reassembling it. And what I've done, I took this selector unit completely apart. I also found one solenoid that wasn't completing the, or it wasn't mechanically completing the selection cycle. Down here are the letter solenoids. These act on these things here. And then these are positioned up to the right number by a group of solenoids in the center of the ring there. So I completely took this ring apart, cleaned the contacts, I adjusted that solenoid so the plunger would come out properly. I reassembled the selector ring, put it back on, but at first I didn't use the selector ring either. I must have overlooked it in the reassembly procedure, and I was having the same problem again. Intermittent selections. Some selections will be right and others will be wrong. So I went back and reread the instructions on reassembly and made sure to use the selector pin. And here's where it talks about it. I've got the service manual here. It shows the selector pin being put up, or the centering pin. Centering shaft should be inserted through the center bushing into the main selector shaft. So now that I got it all aligned properly, reassembled, I also adjusted the backstop pawls. I cleaned everything under the carousel, reassembled the carousel and the record player mechanism. So right now I'm going to make a selection. Odd selections were the ones that were having the most trouble. We'll do D1. And it looks like that's the correct selection. Let's select A1. A1 always seemed to be one that never would work before doing the centering trick. So A1 has been entered. So let's reject this record. And then we'll see if it plays A1. It ought to be a record by Elvis Presley. And it's going to be on this side over here of the mechanism. If it comes up on the other side, we know we still got trouble. It looks like that's probably the right one. And it looks like that's A1. Now I'm going to test all 200 selections on this. I already rebuilt the amp with new capacitors, and I'm going to check the wiring to the fluorescent lamps. I put new fluorescent ballasts in there, plus a fuse on the ballast circuit. So I think this one will be ready to go back to its owner. I had rebuilt the components here at the shop and took them back out to the unit in the field, but unfortunately couldn't figure out that problem, so brought the machine to the shop, and hopefully that'll do it. But now I just will test all the selections. But here's what, we'll close the dome here, they had done a correlation chart between the selections, like E equals Q, H equals T, P equals D, and so on. And I think that was, yeah, J won't play. Well, that's because that solenoid down in the selector mechanism was bent. The actuator was bent, and it wasn't popping out and pressing it. So this just had the old multiple trouble syndrome, plus some kind of funny repairs by a previous technician. So now, after testing it, it should be all ready to go, and then we can go ahead and get another jukebox into the shop for repair. But it really feels good to, I think, finally have this problem solved after a long while of puzzling with it.